For our first story, we have my boyfriend, 30 male, cut up flowers he got for my birthday, female 30. How do I respond to this? So, my boyfriend got me flowers for my birthday, and I absolutely loved them. I cherished them. Fast forward a bit, we got into an argument about his insecurities whenever he brings up his kinks. To be clear, I don't shame him for them, but they make me uncomfortable because they always involve a fantasy where I'm sleeping with someone else. During the argument, he got up, took the flowers he gave me, cut them up, and left. It wasn't just about the flowers, it was the fact that he knew I loved them and still destroyed them out of spite. I don't know how to feel about this. I don't want to dismiss his feelings, but at the same time, this reaction felt intense. How do I respond to this in a healthy way while addressing his feelings? That's the end of our first post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "Greater than, but they make me uncomfortable because they always involve a fantasy where I'm sleeping with someone else, so if I'm understanding the underlying issue. BF wants you to sleep with someone else, you don't want to, he gets mad? And now you're worried that perhaps you're not wanting to is somehow shaming him? And then he destroyed something you like? That's how healthy relationships work. This is not healthy or safe. You shouldn't be pressured into doing anything that you're uncomfortable doing. And he shouldn't be destroying your stuff." Our second commenter says, "I would end this. I would be worried about it escalating." Our third commenter says, "He dismissed your feelings with how uncomfortable you are to sleep with other people only to fulfill his fantasy, which is weird off rip. Also, he took something meaningful to you and destroyed it due to his own feelings. He's old enough to handle his emotions and actions just as much as you are. The only difference it seems like is that you actually acknowledge and don't dismiss him unlike he does to you. You probably don't want to hear it, but that's not someone you should fight to have a relationship with to begin with." For our second story, we have Mike, 32 female, husband, 35 male, is hurt about ex-GF being pregnant. Mike, 32 female, husband, 35 male, recently found out that his ex-GF, 30 female, is pregnant. It's not his as they've been broken up for 3 years, but they are good friends and talk randomly. I've hung out with her myself and have no concerns of cheating, etc. But he found out that she's pregnant, by her husband, and now my husband is upset by it. He's been very sad and they got into this huge argument when it happened and haven't talked since. I really just don't know what to think right now. Why would he be upset at her having a baby with her own husband? Edit. I've asked him why he is upset and he says because he misses his friend, since they haven't talked since the argument. I've asked what was said during the argument and his response is usually, "I don't even remember." That's the end of our second post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "So based on your post history, 2 years ago you were a guy with a wife and dreaming about getting pegged by her." Our second commenter says, "I'm sorry, but why are you not upset that your husband is upset that his ex is pregnant? Lol, I'm so confused right now." Our third commenter says, "Because your husband is still hung up on his ex and they've been having an emotional affair which people call a friendship, to make it sound okay. There should never be secrets between a husband and a wife. The fact that you don't know what's going on here is a problem." For our last story, we have my husband, 34 male, told me that he made me, 33 female, suffer because he hated himself. And now I don't know what to do with that. Do I let him go? I, 33 female, have been with my husband, 34 male, since I was 16. Married since I was 23. He was my first everything. Which is probably why it was no surprise that the red flags looked a little bit orange and I ignored them. I began therapy in 2023 and my therapist brought to light all of the mental and financial abuse that I ignored. My husband could feel me pulling away from him and the mental abuse turned into physical abuse. So in October I left Atlanta and moved to a completely different state with no support system. Well, I guess I never really had a support system because with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 people, everyone else was under the lure of my husband's spell. Over the last few months, we've been in contact, adjusting to a new normal, but last night he called me with the confession. He told me that he hated me for being everything that he wasn't. That crushed me. That he hated himself, so he chose to make my life as difficult as possible. No clue what brought up the random confession. Maybe to absolve him of some guilt? IDK. I'm struggling with an idea that the person that I loved with my whole being purposely hurt me physically, mentally, and financially, because I reminded them of what they weren't. He purposely tried to dim my light, and for a time he actually succeeded. But stupidly, I still can't get him out of my system. I'm over 800 miles away, and the idea of learning another man's favorite food makes me sick to my stomach. But how could I even entertain the idea of taking this man back, especially after all he's done? For those of you who were in long-term relationships and finally ended it, what did you do? P.S. Yes, I do realize how stupid I sound. That's the end of our last post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, he wants you to feel bad for him so that you ignore the fact that he wants to destroy you. Our second commenter says, don't even think about learning another man's anything. You've been in a serious relationship for half your life. Learn all your favorites and heal for a long time before you even consider another relationship. Edit. You don't sound stupid. Your situation is insanely common. Our third commenter says, block contact. Getting over your first everything is usually immensely difficult. So, don't think that the pain you're in means, get back together. It's just the process, trust me. Pour your energy into yourself 100% and take it one day at a time. You're on the start of a new path, and you will do great without him. That's all for today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.